and welcome back. This video will help you review your work for Assignment 6A. We'll go through all the steps and best practices that you should have followed to successfully complete this assignment from Module 6. If you haven't completed the assignment yet, go back and do it now. In After Effects, import the Assignment A Illustrator file, and let's begin with the first part of the task. Create a composition and name it Character. Make it 1080 by 1080 pixels with a black background. Identify the layer with the character icon and convert it to a shape layer. Inside the shape layer, go through the groups and identify shapes with the rectangle bounding box and delete them. Let's work on animating the intro and outro for the icon. This will probably look different from yours, as you are allowed to make your own creative choices. The most important part is that once the intro animation is done, we need to add a marker to the beginning of the timeline and double-click on it. In this new panel, let's set the duration, name the marker, and more importantly, select the Protected Region option. Now let's work on making the outro animation and its responsive marker. Create a new composition, name it Circles, add the circle layer from the Illustrator, and convert it to a shape layer. First, change the line type to a dotted one. Add the Trim Paths property and animate the intro and outro. For the intro, add keyframes to the end value, and for the outro, the start value. Next, add the responsive markers for the intro and outro like we did on the character composition. Now let's add a new circle shape layer, and within the protected region, animate the opacity. As a plus, I'll animate the scale as well. Copy and paste the keyframes and time reverse them to make the outro work. Create a new transition composition, and this time make it 1920 by 1080 pixels with a white background. Inside the composition, you can use the shortcut Command or Ctrl+Y to add a new black solid. For this section, you can either animate a transition of your own, or, like I did, use one from the effects panel. Here we also need to create a responsive marker for both the intro and outro. This marks the end of the first task of this assignment. Assignment 6A Task 2. Create a new composition with a 6-second duration and name it Scene A. Add the character composition with the animated icon to Scene A. Using the shortcut Command Ctrl+D, make 3 additional copies so we have 4 character compositions in total. Adjust the timing so the intro and outro markers fit within the durations for Scene A. Now let's add the circles composition and adjust the timing. For this task, we need to make the character comps move by following the big circle path, and they need to make at least one full lap around the center circle. To achieve this, you can either copy and paste the shape from Illustrator into the position property for each comp, or we can use the circle we already have in After Effects, which is what I'm going to do. Search for the path property inside the circle shape and copy and paste the value into the position property for each comp. This will make our comps move from the position in which they were. To bring them back, all you need to do is select every position keyframe, move them together, and place them correctly. Now we don't want all the layers moving at the same time and on top of each other, so change the starting and ending point for each comp. First, let's deactivate the Rove Across Time keyframes and change them to linear keyframes for the time being. The keyframes need to be placed every 10 frames, so let's move 10 frames forward from the last one, and what we're going to do is copy the second keyframe and paste it into the new position. This will extend the movement for each of the compositions, and we want to change the starting and ending points too. Move 10 extra frames forward and copy and paste the third keyframe to the last two compositions. Finally, move another 10 frames forward and copy and paste the fourth keyframe to the last comp. Now let's delete the same amount of keyframes from the beginning of the animation that we added to the end of it, and drag them so they all start at the same time. This way we're changing the starting and ending point so they match. Now I'm reactivating the Rove Across Time option for the middle keyframes. This way I can move the end keyframes and the animation interpolation will adjust automatically. Next, I need to change the stroke and fill colors for each of the character comps. But first I need to add these properties as essential graphics. This will automatically reflect in the Scene A comp. Let's proceed to change the colors. This is subjective, and you could have picked whatever colors you wanted. The next part of our task requires us to add a new star shape layer to the center of the comp. We also need to animate its opacity so it shows up after the intro animation. I'm going to be animating the scale as well. Next, we need to animate the path so it changes from a star to a pentagon and back. If you open the path property for the layer, you'll see we're missing the path value, and we have a different set of options to the ones we've seen before in previous lessons. All we need to do is right-click on the Polystar Path property and select the Convert to Bezier Path option, and now we can place a keyframe on the star path. I'm going to make an outro animation for this layer as well. Now let's continue working on the path property. We need to transform the star to a pentagon, and for this, we're going to be moving the vertex points to match the desired shape. I'm letting it pause for a second as a pentagon before changing it back to a star. Now to finish our assignment, let's create a new composition named Main Comp. In this composition, let's add the Scene A comp, the background layer, and the transition comp. Place the background layer on top of the Scene A comp and use the transition comp as a track matte. Adjust the timing so both the intro and outro fit the 6-second duration of the main comp. And there you have it, a looped functional animation using responsive markers and techniques from previous lessons. Remember, this video is a reference. Your results might differ from mine, but that's okay. We encourage you to put your own twist on it and make your own creative choices.